Today, we live in a rapidly changing world, one that is complex and interconnected. And over the past decades, we have seen this pace of change increasing. The COVID-19 pandemic demonstrates how quickly our global system can be completely transformed. We're also living in an increasingly urbanized world. By 2050, 68% of the global population is predicted to live in cities. What's more, we're seeing large demographic shifts, which in many parts of the world are seeing an increasingly aging population, with consequences for employment and healthcare. And all the while, we are already seeing the impacts of climate change, with extreme weather events, droughts, heat waves, and wildfires, to flooding, increasing in regularity and severity. As a result of this change, our towns and cities of 2050 and even 2030 will look different to today. And with this rapid change, it can be difficult to keep up with the new opportunities and address the new challenges that are presented. There's often quite a gap between the signals that we see in our cities on a daily basis and these long-term drivers of change that affect the entire world. And as a result, it can be often challenging to a holistic approach and anticipate how the future will look. Tools and frameworks can help to navigate this complexity. One framework that has gained wide use is the STEP-V framework. The STEP-V framework is an acronym that stands for 6 different dimensions, which can be used to help analyze the past and predict the future. The S stands for social factors, such as employment, community, gender, and equity. T relates to technical factors, such as innovation and digitalization. The first E relates to economic factors, such as economic growth, inflation, and economic activity. The second E relates to environmental factors, such as pollution and carbon footprint. P refers to political, such as regulation and legislation, policy goals. Finally, V relates to values, such as mindsets, cultures, and movements. Applying the framework to a driver of change can help to understand many diverse dimensions. Let's take the example of climate change, which will have huge implications for the people globally, particularly in our towns and cities. For example, cities globally are responsible for 70% of greenhouse gas emissions. And by 2050, climate change could displace over 200 million people globally within their own countries. Viewing climate change through the STEP-V framework can help to explore diverse considerations of this global change and help us to predict the impacts and changes into the future. For example, looking through the social lens can help us to explore which groups will be most at risk the impacts of climate change and whether these impacts will be distributed equitably. Taking a technological lens can help us to think about which technologies can help the economy to decarbonize. This can also link to economic factors, such as understanding which business will win and which might lose from the low-carbon transition. In environmental factors, it's important to explore how at risk a municipality might be to impacts of climate change, for example, to sea level rise or droughts. From the political lens of the framework, we can explore which targets are needed to achieve net zero carbon, but also which types of institutions will help to govern the transition and manage the inevitable trade-offs. Finally, which values might influence this change, and how might this vary across generations, like as seen with the growing Youth Climate March movement. Taken together, while the various factors uncovered by the STEP-V framework might not be equal to one another, they can help us to appreciate and work with the diverse impacts of the drivers of change. This can help us to group and analyze key trends, to predict how this may change into the future, and importantly, help us to understand how to most effectively manage this change.